Forget the name of love. It goes on without an end forever, forever.
to do when they come up to the podium. So how are we going to manage that? Oh.
So it's much easier.
Yes. Okay.
If you want Michelle to do it, they let Michelle do it.
Okay, so but we have to go through the program.
Right.
Quickly. I want you to just go up to the Pelosi part, and then to their part. Okay. Which one? No. Yeah.
So wait, Michelle.
I don't know.
No, Ruth, not Ruth.
Good evening, everybody. Could we have everyone take their seats? We're going to quickly go over the run of show, so you're aware. Yeah, there is a lot of echo. Okay. 6 minutes? Okay. There's an echo. We're going to fix the echo, and then we're going to...
Please welcome Paul Murray, co-founder and chairwoman of the Newtown Action Alliance and the Newtown Action Alliance Foundation, and Michelle Morgan, rector of St. Mark's Episcopal Church.
Good evening. Thank you. Good evening. My name is Poe Murray, and I am the chairwoman of the Newtown Action Alliance and the Newtown Action Alliance Foundation. Standing here next to me is one of our strongest allies and friend, Reverend Michelle Morgan, who has provided a home away from home for the gun violence survivors and advocates here in St. Mark's. Reverend Michelle and I would like to welcome you to the 10th Annual National Vigil for All Victims of Gun Violence. Tonight, we are honored to be joined by courageous gun violence survivors from more than 22 states, committed elected leaders and their staff, dedicated local, state, and national GVP groups, and fearless advocates and volunteers who have made a commitment to work together to end this gun violence crisis in our nation. Tonight's vigil service anchors the nationwide vigils to end gun violence in communities across America during the month of December. We thank all our partners for hosting the local vigils to support the survivors from your community in your states to remember their loved ones who were taken too soon and wounded by guns. July 22nd, 2022 was the 10-year mark of the Aurora movie theater shooting. And 1 week from tonight, December 14, 2022, is the 10-year mark of the Sandy Hook tragedy. Since 12 moviegoers were killed and 58 others were injured in Aurora, and 26 children and educators were killed by gunmen with weapons of war, more than 1 million Americans have been shot, and more than 400,000 Americans have been killed by guns in every corner of our nation. Tragically, guns are now the #1 killer of American children. Gun violence is a public health emergency, and we need all hands on deck to end this disease. Therefore, we are joined together here on Capitol Hill once again to honor with action, to shine a light on the devastating epidemic of gun violence in our nation, and to renew our commitment to continue to fight for transformational change that is needed to save lives. That change has begun. President Joe Biden has passed executive actions, and Steve Dettelbach has been confirmed as a permanent director of the ATF. "15 Senate Republicans and 14 House Republicans went against the gun lobby and passed the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act. That was the first set of life-saving gun bills passed and signed into law in 28 years. Other crucial bills, like the assault weapons ban and Ethan's Law, to keep kids safe from unsecured guns, were passed in the House of Representatives with the leadership of Speaker Pelosi. We are now waiting for the Senate to act. More change is imminent because of you, all of you. And we already have public opinion on our side. It will become untenable for any elected leader to stand on the wrong side of history because our children who have been forced to live in unsafe communities and traumatized by active shooter drills and lockdowns will vote and begin to vote. They will no longer tolerate inaction, and our movement would sadly continue to grow as more and more Americans are impacted by gun violence. On behalf of the Newtown Action Alliance, St. Mark's, and over 100 partners, we thank each one of you here in this church and those of you watching this vigil service at home for being in our fight to end this gun violence crisis. Now, it is my privilege to introduce Senator Chris Murphy, who has been a champion of change for Connecticut and beyond, and Jackie Haggerty, who was a survivor from Sandy Hook school shooting 10 years ago.
Good evening, everyone. I am so pleased to be here tonight to join my friend, my hero, Jackie Haggerty from Newtown, Connecticut, to introduce to you tonight our honored guest. We are so pleased to be here in the presence of so many friends, advocates, Madam Speaker, members of Congress, public servants. There's probably not another public figure in the world than Joe Biden. He's a public figure beyond all others. But when I think of my president, the image that lives in the front of my brain isn't a speech he gave or an election he won or a bill he passed. What I remember are two conference rooms nearly 10 years ago in Danbury, Connecticut. Senator Blumenthal and I had invited then Vice President Biden to come to Connecticut in the aftermath of Sandy Hook to talk to our state, our grieving, our hurting state, about the path forward. After the speech, President Biden asked for time with the Sandy Hook families, and it won't surprise you that he told his plane to wait for hours as he sat in a conference room at Western Connecticut State University until he had held every hand, hugged every grieving parent, and wiped away every tear. He was 2 hours late for his plane when he walked out of that room. But at that time, of course, the cameras had all left, the reporters were gone, and standing outside that conference room wasn't Joe Biden, the vice president, it was Joe Biden, the person. And what happened next is something I'll never forget. He was already 2 hours late for his plane, but he didn't leave because somebody told him that in another conference room across the hall were a different set of families that no one in America had really heard about, moms and dads who had lost their sons and daughters to gun homicides in Bridgeport and New Haven and Hartford. Joe Biden knew that their pain wasn't any less debilitating than the pain of the Sandy Hook families. And so he told his people that he wasn't going anywhere. He walked into that second room and he held every hand, he hugged every crying parent, he wiped away every tear. And then for hours, I was there, I watched this happen. He sat in a chair and listened to every single parent tell one of the most powerful people in the world the story of their child, who he was and who he would have been if not for our nation's gun laws. When Joe Biden's term as vice president was over, he could have looked back on a career well done, a public life that made an enormous difference. He deserved a rest. And I guess I don't know all of the reasons why he decided to offer himself up for service again, this time as president. He probably knew that he was the only person who could lead the country out of these dark days. But having seen firsthand how much the pain of those parents from both Sandy Hook and Hartford meant to him, I think I know that he believed he still had work to do. The Bipartisan Safer Communities Act, the first gun safety bill in 30 years, would not have passed without Joe Biden's leadership. It just wouldn't have. And what I find so amazing about our president is that he didn't wait a week after he signed that bill before he started demanding that Congress do more, universal background checks and a ban on assault weapons. And so, on behalf of Senator Blumenthal and Congresswoman Hayes and the urging of the Vigil's organizers, we invited President Biden to join us here tonight. To many, it might have seemed like a long shot, but a lot of us knew that it wasn't, because we've seen President Biden when the cameras are on, like when he moved the country almost single-handedly to action after Buffalo and Uvalde. But also, we've seen him when the cameras are off. That's why we're so excited to have him here today. But the introduction of President Biden is not mine, but it will be Jackie Haggerty. Jackie Haggerty is a hero of mine, as I mentioned. She was a second grader at Sandy Hook Elementary School in December 2012. Her classroom was just across the hall from those classrooms we know so much about today. Today, she is a courageous survivor, and she is a courageous advocate for tougher, common-sense gun laws. Jackie Haggerty.
My name is Jackie Haggerty. I am 17 years old, and I co-lead the Junior Newtown Action Alliance at Newtown High School. A week from today will mark the 10 years since I survived the Sandy Hook school shooting. At the time, I was only 7 years old. I heard and saw things no child, no person should ever have to see. It was impossible to imagine that 26 innocent lives were killed in the same building I was in. There were moments in that classroom where I sat, worrying that I would die, worrying that that door would burst open and I would never go home to see my mommy, daddy, and my siblings. But that door wasn't opened until first responders had come to save us. That day I survived because the shooter armed with an AR-15 chose the left instead of right in that hallway. The last 10 years have not been easy, but living my life honoring the victims has helped. Being kind, like Principal Dawn Hawksprung, and choosing love like Jesse Lewis and so many others. Tonight, family, friends, and survivors gather from across the country to remember the people that were taken too soon by gun violence and make a commitment to honor the lives of those we love by taking action. For the last decade, our childhood has been stolen by gun violence. Guns are now the #1 killer of children in America. And we are asked to be brave while hiding under our desks, in our classrooms, while too many elected officials lack the courage to pass common sense laws to save our lives. Thankfully, we have a president who does more than send thoughts and prayers. He has already passed more executive actions on gun safety than any other president, and he has relentlessly pushed for a ban on weapons of war. He understands that we are living in fear and we have suffered enough. It is my privilege to introduce President Joe Biden, our gun safety champion.
Thank you. I'm sure if the lights are on all of you instead of me, there's a lot of people in this church that I know and have not only consoled one another, but have taken time to console me in the loss of my family. Jackie, thank you for the introduction. More importantly, thank you for your courage. Folks, events like this are hard. They're hard for all of you because it brings back the very moment that everything happened, no matter how many years pass, no matter how many years go by. And it brings it back, but your voices matter. Your voices matter a great deal. Rector Morgan, thank you for welcoming us to St. Mark's to remember, to heal, and to fulfill a purpose. 10 years ago, this nation's vigil was created here in Washington to pray for the souls of Sandy Hook and their families. Ever since that time, this church has been opened its doors to more victims and more families of a violence that rips at the very soul of this nation. To all of you here tonight, it's under different circumstances, but I know a little bit what the loss feels like. It'll be an anniversary on the 18th of this month. I lost my wife and daughter and nearly lost my 2 sons when a tractor trailer broadsided them. And it's not long after that, an anniversary of losing my son. I know that feeling. Everyone's different, but I know that feeling. You know, it's like a black hole in the middle of your chest you're being dragged into, and you never know if there's ever a way out. And what I admire so much about all of you is you show up and remember, because remembering brings it back the very moment that it happened. But all of you at the time, and I spent several days up in Sandy Hook and then went back. At the time, it was astounding to see, even then, the courage that was represented. Jill and I met with you, prayed with you, and have worked with you. We've seen you turn pain into purpose. Together, we've made some important progress. The most significant gun law passed in 30 years, but still not enough. Still not enough. Even as our work continues to limit the number of bullets that can be in a cartridge, the type of weapons that can be purchased and sold, the attempt to ban assault weapons, a whole range of things that are just common sense, just simple common sense. But you know, we did it before. You may remember. In the 90s, we did it to help the very people in here, led by Speaker Pelosi in the House and many others. And we did it, and guess what? It worked. The number of violent and mass murders reduced were significant. A lot of people's lives were saved. You know, and we can do it again. Scripture says the light shines in darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. To all of you here tonight, you are the light. You are literally the light. And your loved ones, your friends, they're the light. And they'll always be with you, no matter what happens. They're always with you. How many of you ask yourself, what would my son or daughter want me to do at this moment? They're in your heart. They're part of you. They're always going to be with you. And at this National Vigil for Victims of Gun Violence, I ask the country to join me in a moment of silence to remember every one of them. And we ask God to give us the strength to finish the work left undone on behalf of the lives we've lost and all the lives we can save. May God bless you all. and keep you safe. Here's my back.
I'm Richard Blumenthal, the U.S. Senator from Connecticut, a colleague of Chris Murphy and a partner of his in this fight. And you may think that the President of the United States can't be topped. But I'm about to introduce you to someone who can. But before I do, I really want to offer my own thanks. I've been here every year, and I know many of you have as well. And I look into your faces, and I see you from all around the country, and for the very first time, we have some folks from Uvalde, Texas. Thank you for coming in the midst of your pain. We lived through Sandy Hook. We went to the firehouse within hours after that savage, brutal murder of 20 beautiful children and 6 great educators. And we have visited with and come to know not only those families, but others who have come to Congress through their pain and grief and the raw feelings of regret. But never doubt that you are making a difference. Your courage and strength are enabling us to take action. You are the ones who will get it done. And we are so fortunate to have a President of the United States who for the first time came here on this evening. The first time a president has come here. The first president to actively work as he has done for a ban on ghost guns and on assault weapons and high-capacity magazines and safe storage, Ethan's Law, and so much of what we've done in Connecticut. The strongest gun laws in Connecticut in the nation, but we know that guns have no respect for state boundaries. And that's why we need federal protection. That's why we need national laws. Now, you may not be a religious person, but we're in a place of worship. And this moment, for me, year after year, has always been sacred because it brings us together to remember and to pledge that we will never forget all of those victims, all of the survivors, all of the loved ones who give us the strength to continue this fight. And most important, the young people who are here today. I thank Paul Murray, Newtown Action Alliance, all of you who have helped to organize, but most important, the young people like Jackie Haggerty, who are here, and their presence sends a message that we will never back down, we will never go away, we will never stop fighting for gun violence prevention. And the most courageous and strong advocate of gun violence prevention is standing right next to me. Her life has been about saving lives, but most importantly, protecting the children. Her life and her career have been about making life better for the kids of America, and there is no person who has done more to protect our children. I am so proud to introduce to you Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker of the House of Representatives.
Thank you all. Thank you all. Once again, it is an honor, a privilege to be with each and every one of you in this ever sadly widening circle of friends who've come here to tell their stories. It's an honor for me to be introduced by Senator Blumenthal because of his own gigantic credentials in terms of fighting gun violence, even before Sandy Hook. To hear Senator Murphy talk about our president and his commitment to stopping gun violence, but also to praying with the families affected by it. And to be with Jackie. Jackie, you did a great job introducing the President of the United States. Jackie Haggerty, 17 years old. What poise, what grace, what strength you demonstrated. Thank you, Senator Blumenthal, for your generous remarks, which I accept on behalf of all of the House Democrats who had the courage to take the votes. Listen. And one of our newest members of Congress who brings his own personal experience to this fight, Maxwell Frost, is here with us. I believe Max is here. Max? The constant reinvigoration of this fight in the Congress of the United States. We couldn't be better served when someone who's had his experience brings his youth and his determination to this. Thank you, Max. Thank you again. When I came in, I was looking for Fred up here, because it's usually where I see him. And I said, "Where's Fred?" And then when I walked down there, I saw Fred. And he said, "Let me tell you why I'm down here and not up there. Because there's so many more new survivors, sad to say, who have joined us here to convey their stories to us individually or as a group, but also for us to commit to them that not only, as the senator said, we will never forget, but what he also said is we will not stop until the job is done, stopping gun violence. When we tell them we are sorry for our loss, we must act upon that. Now I see a shirt that says, "Just do it." Just do it. And that's good guidance, and I'm sorry for your loss as well. This morning I had the privilege of speaking as speaker at the funeral service. Well, actually it started this morning, but it was this afternoon by the time I spoke, of Donald McKeechin, our member from Virginia. He was a champion in the Congress on fighting gun violence. And reason I bring it up for that reason, but also when I spoke, I said, I want to quote what Don McKeechin said on his first day as a member of Congress, his first speech on the floor. He quoted the first sermon of Jesus. The first sermon of Jesus. And Jesus said it was time to spread the good news to help those in need. That's a call to action in Jesus' first speech. Thank you, Reverend Rector Morgan and St. Mark's, for once again having us in this beautiful holy setting. Now, just some little history. All those years ago when we passed the Brady bill, I was a junior member of Congress. My leader in the House, I was a whip, my leader in the House was a gentleman from New York called Chuck Schumer. And Chuck Schumer took the lead then as a member of the House, and now we're so blessed that he's in the position of power that he is in the Senate and still committing to get the job done. It wasn't easy then. It took a couple of times. Some of you have heard my stories about how we interacted with the Bradys and all that. But nonetheless, eventually we got it done. So when it was time for this bill now, which is a great bill, but it was not the Brady bill, I said to one of my colleagues, and I give her full credit for the passage in the House, Lucy McBath. Lucy McBath. Many of you know her story of her son Jordan, how they tried to have a baby and then they did, and it was Jordan, and then he becomes a victim of gun violence. But when the bill finally took its shape, I had been part of passing the Brady bill, and this bill was not the Brady bill, but it was progress. So I said, Lucy, is it good enough? Should we hold out for more? She said, I will speak to the caucus on the subject. And she told us, as a survivor, that it was certainly good enough and that we should pass the legislation. And that was the most persuasive argument that the members received. Again, not the Brady bill, but progress. So on these issues, when we talk about being on the right side of history, we want to be on the right side of the future. A future. Fred mentioned that there are new people here. Again, we've gone from the 10th anniversary of Newtown, and thank you to the representatives from Connecticut, Senator Murphy, Senator Blumenthal, all of the delegation, and I'm so glad that Ayanna will be joining us again here because she was part of the fight. But when we go from Newtown to Uvalde and so much in between, and I too want to acknowledge our friends from Uvalde who are here. They showed me the picture of their beautiful daughter, Jackie. She was dressed as an angel. She is an angel. Again, we all share your loss, but that's simply not good enough. We have to act upon that. So, what do we want to do? We keep saying it, and we'll continue to keep saying it. We're here to grieve, to draw strength from each other, to be inspired by each other, to renew our resolve in that, and hopefully this vigil offers a place to heal. In that regard, I want to thank Poe Murray. She has been remarkable. Where are you, Poe? And again, as Senator said, my whole mission in Congress has been for the children, for safe schools and this, and mental health for them, and safety of their families, and for their very survival. 20 little children murdered in Newtown. Thank you to the Newtown Action Alliance for bringing us together once again this evening. 19 fourth graders murdered at Uvalde, Jackie being one of them. 5 children killed by guns every day. Just because they're not mass murders in one episode doesn't mean that they aren't mass murders in terms of taking the lives of our children. And yes, as Jackie said so beautifully, as we say to our colleagues, your political survival is nothing compared to the survival of our children. How could you not know that? How could you not know that and have the courage to take the hard vote? So again, what we want to do, as the president said, is ban straw purchases, Well, this is what we have done in the bill: ban straw purchases, protect domestic violence survivors, help states implement extreme risk protection order laws. You know all about that because it wouldn't have happened without you. But what we want to do, and the House has already voted to, as has been indicated, get assault weapons off our streets, require background checks, outlaw untraceable ghost guns, advance safe gun storage, and ban the sale of bump stocks and high-capacity magazines. The President mentioned many of these things, and he has been a champion. When Senator Murphy was talking about Vice President then Biden with the families, I was thinking of him in the Capitol. Many of you have been there when he's been there, and we once again come together, state our resolve, showcase the sadness of our survivors so that we can have some inspiration to change the minds of some. But then Vice President Biden came. It was actually the day before the vote in the Senate for a previous gun bill that we did not prevail on. He would go in the room with the survivors. None of the other, just alone. He's a survivor himself. Go in the room and be there for a long time and listen to their stories. And they trusted him because he had lost a child and a wife and then another child, older child. So he was in that same sad club that nobody wants to be a member of. They had credibility when sharing concern. He brings that to the White House. This is a high priority for him. That's why he was here tonight, to share his commitment with all of you, not once again, but on the ongoing. So we're very blessed to have a president in the White House who understands the pain, the trauma that goes with all of this. Some of you have told me that losing a family member makes you forever have a pre-existing medical condition because of the trauma of it all. But know your power in this, and I know many of you do. I know Fred does. And the fact is that nothing good can happen in the Congress in the strongest possible way, no matter how we maneuver, without the outside mobilization. You are the ones that make it happen. You are the ones that make it happen. It's all about time. It's about time to get it done. But it's about the time it takes to convince some. To us, it is totally inevitable that this will happen. To some, it is inconceivable. So we want to shorten the distance between the inevitable and the inconceivable and get the job done for the children, for their families. So I bring you the commitment of the House Democrats in whatever position any of us holds. They are all committed. And now with Max there to again invigorate the effort, with Lucy there with her personal experience. Another one of our colleagues lost his son in gun violence on the streets in Chicago, innocently, but nonetheless, fatally. And he said to me, there's no sound that is more painful in the world than to hear a mother find out that she has lost a child. I'm sure that applies to dads as well. And so in awe of all of you to have the courage to take the time to share your stories. But understand this, nothing good wouldn't happen unless you turn your agony into action. Your sacrifice that you are making will save other lives, and that is what we are all committed to do. So thank you for giving me the privilege of sharing some thoughts with you tonight, with the commitment that I bring from the House Democrats to be there until the job is done. and in doing so, to take our lead from all of you as you help shape whatever the next priority should be and what would be acceptable. Thank you all so much. God bless all of you. Help spread the news.
Hello, everybody. My name is Keon Carter. I'm one of Orlando's post-nightclub survivors. It was actually a message on this video with me reading the definition of what a survivor means, but I really want to tell you what it means from experience. Surviving really means, number one, is a new chance at life, a new gift. God pretty much gave us grace and mercy. We also have remorse because we do have our loved ones that we lost. Also, being a survivor means we have to learn how to live again without those people that we lost. I'm going on 6 years since we lost our 49 friends at Post. We continue to lose children at schools, more people like myself, gay men, women, trans men at Club Q. I'm sorry, I don't have a speech. I'm never prepared because I want to just speak from my heart. We're at constant questions like, why is this happening to us? Why are we constantly have to fight to live? Why do we have to always bury the ones we love due to someone's ignorance? First, I want to thank everybody for giving me the chance to be here, Miss Poe. I would like to thank GAG for this presentation. I'm just kind of happy to be here with you guys for the first time alone. Just looking at these faces here today is just showing me that numbers is what's going to do the justice that we need. Sticking together like we are right now is what's making these changes happening. And I'm just blessed to be alive to see this today. I'm blessed to be able to stand here and represent for everyone that's been affected during a gun violence, mass shooting. And I just want to say I love you all and continue surviving. Thank you.
Friends, we now call one another to prayer. In the words of our elected leaders, our hearts were stirred and we were called to prayer. In this silent procession with these images of our beloveds, we are called to prayer. Survivors, elected leaders, activists, faith leaders, we call one another to prayer. And we are in this room a community of hope. We are the community of the future. And when we come together and we proclaim across all our difference, across all our faith traditions, when we proclaim that we believe in the sanctity of human life, when we proclaim that we have a right to raise our children, to love our beloveds in safety, well, that is a call to prayer. We do come together tonight from so many different places, from different faith traditions or no particular religious path, but we are united. Again, we have heard some say we are on a road we did not ask to walk together, but we accompany one another, and that is a kind of prayer. We accompany one another this night from our town, which is Newtown, to your town, our loss gathered up with your loss, our hope held somehow in a greater love, a greater life. Some might use the word God. And in the mystery of human resilience, in the possibility of human transformation, we know that we can make something come from our pain, from our loss. We have learned that pain carves new depths in us, that one day can be filled with new purpose and new life and new love. Let us call one another to prayer this night, and I invite you to stay in that prayer. I invite you to be in that prayer as we gather in Newtown this night next week. On December 14th, as we gather in our faith communities to light candles, to hear ancient words of hope, to hear song, we invite you to pray with us. Send your energy, send your spirit, send your thoughts as we send ours to you in all the places that you live, in all the loss you feel. We are with you, and we will stay with you. Companions on a road we did not choose. Let us work together to create that new future, to write that last chapter of mass shootings. And let us be, all of us together, the light we seek. Let us call one another to prayer.
May God give us the grace to never sell ourselves short, grace to risk something big for something good, grace to remember that the world is too dangerous now for anything but truth and too small for anything but love. May God take our minds and think through them. May God take our lips and speak through them. May God take our hearts and set them on fire, that we may be agents, avatars, apostles of hope and peace.
El male rachamim שוכן במרומים, המצא מנוחה נכונה, תחת כנפי השכינה, במעלות קדושים וטהורים, כזוהר הרקיע מזהירים, לנשמות יקירנו קדושנו, שהלכו לעולמם. אנא ברחמים, הסירם בצל כנפיך לעולמים, וצרור בצרור החיים את נשמתם. אדוני הוא נחלתם, וינוחו בשלום על משכבם, ונאמר Amen. God of full of mercy who dwells above, remind us of your divine presence here, below, where hearts break as blood flows. Give rest on the wings of the divine presence to the souls of these dear ones whose lives were taken too soon. And may they find rest on your wings in the knowledge that we, their loved ones, their neighbors, their survivors, will not forget them and will not forget the work that we must do to fix this broken world. Merciful One, as we work to protect living souls so that no more lives will be lost to guns, protect our lost dear ones' souls forever. The everlasting is their heritage, and they shall rest peacefully at their lying places. And let us say, Amen.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa Allah. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمد رسول الله. أشهد أن محمد رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر، الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله. God is the greatest. God is the greatest. God is the greatest. God is the greatest. I bear witness that there is no deity worthy of worship other than God. I bear witness that there is no deity worthy of worship other than God. I bear witness that Muhammad is the messenger of God. I bear witness that Muhammad is the messenger of God. Come to prayer. Come to prayer. Come to success. Come to success. God is the greatest. God is the greatest. There is no deity worthy of worship other than God.
Wide awake while the world is sound asleep, and too afraid of what might show up while you're dreaming. Nobody sees you. Nobody would believe you. Every day you try to pick up all the pieces, all the memories, they somehow never leave you. Nobody sees you. Nobody would believe you. God only knows what you've been through. God only knows what they say about you. God only knows how it's hurting you. There's a kind of love that God only knows. God only knows what you've been through. God only knows what they say about you. God only knows the real you. There's a kind of love that God only knows. There's a kind of love there's a kind of love. You keep a cover over every single secret, so afraid if someone saw them they would leave. But somebody sees you. Somebody will never leave you. God only knows what you've been through. God only knows what they say about you. God only knows how it's hurting you. There's a kind of love that God only knows. God only knows what you've been through. God only knows what they say about you. God only knows the real you. There's a kind of love that God only knows. There's a kind of love that there's a kind of love for the lonely, for the ashamed, misunderstood and the one to blame. What if we could start over? We could start over. We could start over. For the lonely, for the ashamed, misunderstood and the one to blame. We could start over. We could start over. We could start over. Whoa, I was lonely, I was ashamed, misunderstood and the one to blame. But I started over, I started over, I started over. I don't think you heard me. Whoa, I was lonely, I was ashamed, misunderstood and the one to blame. But I started over, I started over, I started over. Cause there's a kind of love that God only knows. God only knows what you've been through. God only knows what they say about you. God only knows the real you. There's a kind of love that God only knows. God only knows what you've been through. God only knows what they say about you. God only knows the real you. There's a kind of love that God only knows. God only knows how to find you. God only knows how to break through. God only knows the real you. There's a kind of love that God only knows.
That was beautiful. Good evening. I'm Arnita Holloman, and I'm the Federal Affairs Director with Community Justice Action Fund. But I am here tonight, like many of you, as a survivor. I stand here as someone who has lost far too many family members and loved ones to gun violence. As I was thinking about what I would say, the experience, one of several, but the experience that came to mind was getting a call the day after Christmas from a cousin who, because a cousin hadn't come home. She left on Christmas night with friends and never returned home. And I got the call from one of my cousins, and I remember jumping out of bed and driving around with my cousins to try to help her find her daughter. Going to the hospital, trying to get answers, only to find out she wasn't there. Going to the morgue and finding her there. And watching my cousin be told that she couldn't identify her daughter because she'd already been identified. A couple of years later, I returned to that same medical examiner's office in my role in working in violence prevention for a meeting, for a child fatality review meeting, to review the deaths of young people and children that have been killed mostly by gun violence, to try to prevent it from happening to another child. During my work in gun violence, I've been to homicide scenes, and I know that look in a loved one's eye, that deep wail from family members. I know far too intimately. And in those moments, there is absolutely nothing you can say to change what happened or to soothe family members and loved ones But what I do know is there is absolutely something we can do to end gun violence. And be it those who, there are many people that are shot and they don't die, and thank God they don't die, but their lives are irrevocably changed and altered. They're not just the folks who are injured. They're changed, they're altered forever. And whoever they might be, Lewis Williams, Greg Jackson, and wherever it might happen that we lose a loved one to gun violence, be it in a bar or a car, Stanley Holloman Jr., Taja Williams, to domestic violence, Latrell Bowles. We never forget who they are. And while our hearts can heal, they are never the same. We, as survivors who have lost loved ones, are changed. The great part of that is, and there is never, I don't ever see a silver lining to gun violence, but what can come out of it is the work that we do to stop gun violence before it happens, to interrupt gun violence that could potentially happen. That is the critical work that we at Community Justice, a survivor-led organization focused on advocacy and policy, that is what we do every single day. And while we can't change what has already happened, we can continue to fight for funding and policy to make sure that we never have to come to one of these vigils ever again. My heart goes out to each and every one of you who has lost a loved one. I know that pain, again, far too familiar with it. There's a scripture in Leviticus that says, don't stand idly by while your brother's blood is shed. And so at Community Justice, we will not stand idly by. We will stand firm and tall along with you to make sure that we end this epidemic of gun violence. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Dr. Hala Akbarnia. I'm an emergency medicine physician in the greater Chicago area. I've always worked at level 1 trauma centers. I have taken care of many gunshot victims. I'm also a survivor. First, as a 7th grader, when my friend's brother brought a gun to school and shot 2 other children before killing himself. Later, as an EMT, working on a gang violence victim when our ambulance was shot at, the bullet missing us by inches. And most recently as a physician. It was late night, I was leaving work, walking to my car when someone drove by my hospital and started shooting at another person around the corner from me. The bullets missed me and the intended target, but penetrated the walls of our emergency department, missing any staff and patients that could have been walking those halls. That primal fear, after I ran to my car, that went through my body, I will never forget. Each time I heard a shot fired, thinking that this is the last one that might end my life. I know I am lucky to be here today, but I know that so many who should be able to be here are not. And for that, I am sorry. To every parent here who has had to say goodbye to your child, or who was never given that chance to do so. To all you siblings, husbands, wives, daughters, sons, grandparents, relatives, and friends who have lost someone you loved, I was there with you, right beside you on that worst night of your life, telling you that you would never see your child again. I had to watch you break down, sometimes angry, throwing things, sometimes silent, in shock, not moving or believing, sometimes with a heart-wrenching howl or a cry that still rings in my head, thinking to myself, how can you possibly move on from this? How do you survive even the next hour of your life or the days that follow or today, years later, without them? And then I wonder if I could have done anything more to have saved your loved one.
or if I could have said anything to alleviate any of your pain. I am sorry that as their doctor, I had to break that news to you. But I am still with you here now, fighting this fight by your side, because your pain became my pain and will always remain with me. We are in this together. Let's continue to honor with action.
Good evening. My name is Garnell Whitfield. I'm from Buffalo, New York. On May 14th of this year in Buffalo, an 18-year-old white supremacist walked into our local supermarket and murdered 10 beloved members of our community because they were black. This was not some random act of violence. It was a well-planned, intentional act whose success was dependent upon the fulfillment of his desire, as expressed in his manifesto, to kill as many black people as possible in the least amount of time and live. His weapon of choice, a legally purchased semi-automatic AR-15 style rifle with an illegally modified clip that converted it to a fully automatic weapon. Had he not had this weapon of war, the security guard, a retired Buffalo police officer who was armed with a handgun and confronted him, surely would have been able to prevent many of the deaths on that day, even his very own. But I stand here before you today because the fourth victim of this heinous act was Mrs. Ruth Whitfield, my 86-year-old mother, who had just left the nursing home that she sojourned to daily for the last 8 years to care for her husband of 68 years, my father. There are no words to describe the hurt, the pain, and the anger that I, and unfortunately many of you, have experienced, especially when you realize that the perpetrators of these crimes continue to be aided by the inaction of a society that in its silence gives tacit approval to the inhumane proliferation of guns and the violence that inevitably follows. So today, I reiterate the call for our leaders, no matter what the political or financial cost, to take immediate action to bring an assault weapons ban to the floor for a vote. My mother and the loved ones of all that have been sacrificed to this plague deserve no less. Thank you.
There are many survivors tonight from 22 states. Now we invite those survivors to come share the names of their lost loved ones.
My daughter Jacqueline J. Lynn Casares, 9 years old, taken from us from Uvalde, Texas.
Sean Moss, Lynchburg, Virginia.
Paul Sampleton Jr., a 14-year-old from Grayson, Georgia.
Damian Mines, killed December 2nd, 2015 in San Bernardino, California.
J.C. Webster, age 20, Silver Spring, Maryland.
My sister Wendy Gibson, suicide with gun. My son Galen Gibson, death in a school shooting.
Alexandria Amani Burgos.
She was 18 years old, killed in Chicago in the Belmont-Cragen community. Her case is unsolved.
Dante Green, killed in a gun violence. Dante Green, age 29.
Maurice Allen, January 26, 2008, gun violence.
My sister Eve August, murdered in the Buell Rampage in Detroit, Michigan, June 11th, 1982.
My firstborn and only son, Charles Woodrow Reed, age 24, murder in Detroit, Michigan.
Walter Thomas, 18, killed in Waldorf, Maryland.
My daughter, 14 years old, Jamie Guttenberg, killed in the Parkland school shooting.
Dominic Blackwell, killed at Saugus High School when he was 14.
My uncle, Mark Greenleaf Johnson, 24, killed by his landlord on his birthday in California.
Ellis Rance Reed died May 9th, 2019, from a gunshot wound that went straight through his heart, out of his chest.
My son, Terrell Bosley, at the age of 18, was shot and killed on the grounds of a church in Chicago, Illinois.
Daniel Mauser, 15, Columbine.
Gwen Tombleson, Jacksonville, Florida.
George Kemp Jr. was gifted July the 7th. He was stolen September the 26th. This is a Texas cowboy that loved football and had horses that he called his children. And we will forever miss George, but we will continue to stay on the front lines to fight for our son, George.
Patricia Ann Geddes, my mother, taken in domestic violence and killed in gun violence. My niece, Sandy Patrice Geddes Barnwell, She was killed on Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. We also have on this picture L'Oreal Bowman. We have Joshua McBride. We have Enrique Pruitt. And we have Corey G. Glenn.
Joshua LaShawn Pye, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, murdered June 23rd, 2013.
My father, Sam Reed, 1987, 33 years old. My sister, Ebony Parson, 28 years old, murdered by domestic violence, September the 13th, 2013. My nephew, Ashaw Flowers, 19 years old, murdered January the 21st, 2018. My son's best friend, Herm Jr., murdered May 6, 2020.
My son, my only son, Christopher Leon Wilson Jr., 35 years old, murdered on his way home from work. My beautiful nephew, Camilo Senchna Beltran, killed 8 years ago today, in December 7th, 2014, on the streets of San Francisco, shot and killed outside of a nightclub when he was out celebrating his friend's birthday.
My sister, Carmen Shentrup, killed in the Parkland shooting.
Adrian Murfitt from Anchorage, Alaska, murdered on 10/1/17 with 57 others at a concert in Vegas.
Six-year-old Veronica Mosier Sullivan killed July 20th, 2012 in Aurora, Colorado.
My son Malik Stidard killed September 4, 2016 in Wyandanch, New York. He was only 18 years old.
My nephew, Jonathan Michael O'Shaughnessy, murdered in front of me on July 3rd, 2017 by a drive-by shooter, still unsolved.
My son is Adriel Terrell Webb. He was 18 years old at the time of his murder in Seattle, Washington.
This is my son, Alex Sullivan, who was murdered celebrating his 27th birthday on July 20th, 2012 in the Aurora Theater Massacre.
My parents, Tim and Kim Donnelly, both age 52, killed by a stolen, unsecured gun in our family store in Fairfield, Connecticut.
My beloved son, Javad Marshall Fields, and his fiancee were murdered June 20th, 2005 in a double homicide in Aurora, Colorado.
My dad, Bill Venable, my brother, Bill Venable, killed in a home burglary, 2004, Tucker, Georgia.
This is my son, Corey Edward Taylor, Fort Worth, Texas. He was murdered at the age of 27 in Houston, Texas.
My oldest, Darian Richardson, from South Portland, Maine. She was 25. Her murder is still unsolved.
And sharing for our friends, Indy and Barbara Parker, this is Allison Parker. She was 24 years old. She was shot on live TV. She was a young reporter with her cameraman, Adam.
My 19-year-old niece, Veronica Weiss, was killed in right outside UNC Santa Barbara in Isla Vista on May 23, 2014.
My beautiful 23-year-old son, Aquila da Silva, was murdered in Nashville, Tennessee with an AR-15 at a Waffle House. Thank you.
Renelle Marshall, she was shot June 29th, 2021. She died July 4th, 2021, Washington, D.C.
My son, Marcellus Good, was murdered by drive-by in Los Angeles, June 15, 2021. He was 22.
This is Matt Boravina, the light of my life, Marysville, Washington.
This is Kara Christensen, and Matt is also my nephew. And Kara is our goddaughter, and she died by suicide by gun on her 34th evening before her birthday.
My nephew, Jonathan Orbiton, 39 years old, murdered on the streets of Oakland, California, November 12, 2015.
My brother, John Orbiton, homicide. My uncle, John Weeks, gun suicide, 2009. My uncle, Peter Trail, gun suicide, 2020.
My sister, Thaisa Cherry, was 16. She was murdered January 17th, 1992, as she left a theater in Chicago, Illinois.
My son, Tyler Randolph, was murdered 3 days before Christmas. He was 20 years old, 2012.
This is my son, Timothy Scott. He was murdered March 24th, 2012 in Chicago, Illinois, at his job. Thank you.
This is my dad, who took his own life by gun June 4th, 1982. And this is Larry Rosebaugh, who was killed in 2009.
Cliff Hebert Jr., murdered on spring break, March the 28th, 2008. Case unsolved.
My sister, Laura Webb, killed October 12th, 2011 in the Sill Beach mass shooting. She was doing my mom's nails. My mom was the only one that survived out of the 9 people that were shot.
My nephews, Sedaris Jermaine Williams, age 35, Justin DeAndre Williams, age 20, both of whom were killed by gun violence and deserve more than the bullets that claimed their lives. Thank you.
My son, Ricky Pike, age 24, killed 2 months after he moved out of my home on August 3rd, 2012.
My beautiful, sweet son, Kedrick Ali Morrow Jr., killed in Queens, New York on May 15, 2010, just a few weeks from his high school graduation, while I attended his graduation in his absence.
My nephew, Pierre-Paul Jean-Paul Jr., shot and killed in Queens on November 11, 2008.
My sister, Patricia May Springer, shot and killed by her ex-boyfriend on 9/15/1997. If he couldn't have her, no one else would either. This happened in Washington, North Carolina.
Our son, Patrick Wyatt McKinley, 18 years old, is a student at the Sarasota College of Art and Design. This is his artwork. He was murdered in front of our home on New Year's Eve. He died in my husband's arms by a stranger. He was shot.
Jennifer Ann McCoy, my baby sister, shot to death in her home in Cleveland, Ohio, July 30th, 1997, at age 21.
My firstborn son, Sean Jermaine Reeves Jr., he was shot August 11th, 2011, while police detectives stood down the street videotaping this whole incident on a gang investigation.
My dear friend Rhonda Hart's daughter, Kimberly Vaughn, and my dear friend Rosie Stone's son, Chris Stone, killed May 18th, 2018 in the Santa Fe High School shooting.
My two best friends that were killed at Robb Elementary in Uvalde, Texas, Eliana Torres, 10 years old. My other best friend, Jacqueline Jalen Cáceres, 9 years old.
I'm Jeremy Stein. I'm the Executive Director of Connecticut Against Gun Violence. This is my uncle, who took his own life with a firearm. Kristen and Mike Song couldn't be here this night, and this is Ethan Song, who was 15 years old and died from an unsecured firearm. Let's pass Ethan's law in Congress now.
I want to express support for that. My younger brother grew up with Mike Song in Trumbull, Connecticut, where I grew up. And my own great aunt, Elizabeth Shulkin, she was killed in Florida on a vacation in her hotel after an invasion on December 1st, 1981. I spent lunch with her a few days earlier. She was also the sister of Sam and Erwin Friedman, who were featured in the movie Marshall. Thank you.
This is Madison Baldwin. We were best friends. She was killed in the Oxford High School shooting on November 30th of 2021, and she was 17.
First and foremost, I'm not here just because I lost loved ones on gun violence. I'm here for all y'all because my uncle got killed in 1971. I said 72. He got killed January 1st, 1972. He lost his grandson in October 19th in 2004 after we had a family reunion. Then my cousin lost her son in 2013 in Tacoma, Washington, all due to gun violence. I'm here because my kids didn't die of gun violence, but the people I came here, their children did, just like you guys' children. All I'm asking, put down the racism and pick up God and save your children. Stop the killing and save the children. Because if we don't save them, we ain't going to have no future. The future is in all of our hands. The same hands that pick up guns, put them down and hug the children. Because my children didn't die of gun violence, but they're dead. But I'm here because I have family members and I have friends. And every day we're going to see a child die until we all stand up and take notice. put the guns down and save the children. Stop the killing and save the children.
I'm Mia McFadden, granddaughter of pastor, Army veteran, and activist Melody Geddes McFadden. My grandmother's mom, Patricia Ann, lived in gun violence and died in domestic violence when my grandmother was 17 years old, and when my 3 aunts were less than 10 years old. My cousin Sandy Patrice was shot and killed on Myrtle Beach watching motorcycle parades. I've grown up with gun violence front and center. My grandmother isn't quiet, nor am I. Here's a teenager's thoughts. I'm not going to sit here and feed you hopeless statistics and affirmations. My words will light a bonfire that will turn into a forest fire and instigate people into action. Listen to us. We have something to say. Votes, time, money, and effort put into ending gun violence, yes, that matters. But it's time to yell. Yes, yell. Everybody not listening, listen and act. We're going to yell long and loud about the loved ones taken from you and me. Hear us. My generation will be voting soon. I'm not begging for sympathy, just for you to hear, feel, and act. Sandy Hook was a heartbreaking loss that we don't want in America. I'm a high school student just like those 21st graders would have been, except for senseless gun violence. I should not have to go to school watching and waiting for something to happen. I should not know 21st graders and 6 adults from Newtown, Connecticut, but sadly, I do. They aren't here, we are. It's insane that we mourn 20 kids just like me. Here's something crazier though. I have to be 21 to buy alcohol, but I only have to be 18 to buy an AR-15. I hope that you adults in the Senate start adulting real soon and end gun violence.
Hi, my name is Gwen Lacroix, and I live in Michigan. I was a paramedic for the city of Detroit for 6 years, and I heard and saw much more gun violence than was ever reported in that role. And then I became a psychiatric nurse practitioner because of my son's struggle with mental health. On October 19th, 2016, my firstborn, 6'2", beautiful National Honor Society student who loved basketball and drawing, who could talk a mean streak, who ate cereal out of serving bowls and helped the pastor at the local Baptist church youth group, who was attending an early college program and coming out of his shell in the diversity that offered, killed himself with an unsecured firearm 1 month after his 17th birthday. Jonah had suffered from suicidal thoughts from the age of 8, and I had begged his father to lock up his weapons, followed him around to ask where they were being stored, provided articles and statistics, and bought him 2 lockboxes to safely store them in. Jonah, however, knew what I did not, which is that his dad had lied when he told me all of his guns were locked up. And my son knew there was a pistol in the closet of the hallway where he was found after removing his glasses, laying on the carpet, and shooting himself in the right temple. I truly believe his death would never have happened without access to that firearm. We owe our remaining children to continue fighting. I wish Jonah were here to see all these people who care about him and our country's future. Thank you.
Hello and thank you. My son, Horst Lorenzo Anderson, was murdered in Seattle, Washington on June 20th of 2020 during the Capitol Hill Occupy protests. I would like to talk a little bit about Lorenzo. My name is Donita Sinclair. I'm the mother of Reality, Malisha, and Horst. Horst was my, Horst was my miracle baby that I had at 24 weeks. He was 680 grams, so that means he was just a little man in my hand. Lorenzo was tiny, he had hearing aids, he had tubing, multiple surgeries, and he did, like I said, fit in the palm of my hand. Lorenzo overcame disabilities, IEP, special ed, and autism. On June of 2019, my son graduated, overcoming all those barriers from interagency in Seattle, Washington. My son even was on honor roll. In 2020, our nation faced COVID, but in 2020, Lorenzo my miracle child, released his first single. Excuse me. Seattle was taken over by lawlessness. Between May 30th through July 3rd, Seattle was lawless. Sorry. On June 19th, us African Americans shared Juneteenth. We call it freedom. Our family did barbecues, we baked beans, we made ribs, and I made my grandma's favorite potato salad. But early June 20th of 2020, I got the worst call of my life. That my son, I need to go to the hospital because my son been shot. So when I go to the hospital, I was denied services because it was a homicide case. Later on, I saw my son videoed, murdered, being approached by 6 young men that have been active, going around gang banging, tearing up our community, a lot of chaos. I see my son run for his life. I see my son being beat for hours by these 6 young men, while the police did anything. My son was shot 4 times and was left for dead. Police, medical, and fire was called. But by Seattle facing that crisis at that time, medical was denied to my 24-week preemie. Seattle was, the fire department, medical, and police was told that it was too much, the zone was too dangerous. We call it CHOP, we call it Capitol Hill. I forgot the name, I'm sorry, you guys. I'm sorry. Volunteers took my son to the hospital where later on he died. My son was ripped from his life. My son was ripped from me and his family. My miracle baby is gone. Too many mothers, too many kids, and too many families have been impacted by this disease. Our lives have been destroyed by the epidemic of gun violence. He's not here no more, but I was going to ask Mr. President, you help us end this epidemic of gun violence. Thank you. This will take all of us, and it's going to take everybody today, now. Mr. President, we will stand by you. I will stand by you. I'm here with 6 other mothers from Seattle, Washington, just as well as everybody else in this room that has been impacted by this disease. We all will stand by you, Mr. President, to end this disease. Yes, I have cried. Yes, I am empty. But we're ready. I'm ready. We need to solve this problem. This is a problem. We need to solve it. Mr. President, just not him, but the community, everybody in here, I thank you guys for taking out the time and taking attention and your attention from whatever you guys could have been doing. I'm here to work, and I'm here to stand with each and every one of you. Thank you.
My name is Kimberly Rubio. My daughter, Alexandria Lexi Rubio, was a victim of the Robb Elementary shooting in Uvalde, Texas on May 24th, 2022. I began publicly, loudly calling for sensible gun legislation on June 8th, 3 days before I buried my baby. Since then, I have never turned down an opportunity to share Lexi's story. In the beginning, I was overcome with grief, but nobody can function with that level of pain for long. After a while, my brain stepped in to protect me. I feel numb most days. I'm operating on fumes. Lately, I see Lexi as if she was here, sitting next to me in the stands of her big brother David's basketball game, biting her nails in anticipation. Sitting in the front row today, holding a candle, giving me a shy smile at the mention of her name. When I lay in bed, I turn on my side, envisioning her staring back at me. I have one hand cradling her face, my thumb caressing her cheek. I'd kiss her forehead, relish the smell of her hair. I want so badly to be part of this alternate reality, but it doesn't exist. This is my reality. Tonight, here, speaking at the 10th Annual National Vigil for all victims of gun violence because my 10-year-old daughter was murdered in her 4th grade classroom. I urge Americans watching to join us as we push for the Senate to pass an assault weapons ban. When is enough enough? If not my child, whose? If not now, when? Lexi was the light of our lives, and that has never been more obvious than now in the darkness. Lexi, Mommy, and Daddy love you so much.
Gun violence is at record level in America.
Families are being impacted by it every day, practically every hour. We need to take action now to end this epidemic.
Join my friends and me, and together we can make a safer future a reality.
It hits a little different when it gets close to home. Seeing others, and their loved ones, constantly lose somebody due to gun violence, it's heartbreaking.
Kids should be able to go outside and play safe and go to school without worrying about being shot and killed.
And we can save hundreds of thousands of lives.
If nothing happens to keep it from continuing, then it will.
It is a solvable problem. We can do this.
Together we can end gun violence.
Gun violence is at record level in America.
Families are being impacted by it every day, practically every hour. We need to take action now to end this epidemic.
Join my friends and me, and together we can make a safer future a reality.
It hits a little different when it gets close to home. Seeing others, and their loved ones, constantly lose somebody due to gun violence, it's heartbreaking.
Kids should be able to go outside and play safe and go to school without worrying about being shot and killed.
And we can save hundreds of thousands of lives.
If nothing happens to keep it from continuing, then it will.
It is a solvable problem. We can do this.
Together we can end gun violence.
When you're broken down and tired, living life on a merry-go-round, where you still can't find a fighter, but I see it in you, so we gon' walk it out. Move mountains, we gon' walk it out and move mountains. And our eyes up, our eyes like the day, our eyes up, our eyes unafraid, our eyes up. I'll do it 1,000 times again. And our eyes up, high like the waves, our eyes up, in spite of the ache, our eyes up. I'll do it 1,000 times again. For you, for you, for you, you. When the silence isn't quiet and it feels like it's getting hard to breathe, well, I know you feel like dying, but I promise you we're gonna bring the world to its feet and move mountains, bring it to its feet and move. And our eyes up, our eyes like the day, our eyes up, our eyes unafraid, our eyes up. I'll do it 1,000 times again. For you, for you, for you, oh, for you. All we need is hope, and for that we have each other, and for that we have each other. Oh, oh, we will rise, we will rise, we will rise, we will rise. And we'll rise up, we'll rise like the day, we'll rise up, in spite of the ache, we'll rise up. Oh, we will rise up, high like the day, we'll rise up, in spite of the ache, we'll rise. You know we're gonna keep on rising every day, and we'll rise up, high like the waves, we'll rise up, in spite of the ache, we'll rise up. Oh, we will rise, we will rise, we will rise, we will rise. Oh, you know we're gonna rise.
Hello. Thank you, everyone, for being here today. My name is Carol Wakeman, and I'm a board member of Newtown Action Alliance and the Newtown Action Alliance Foundation and co-advisor for the Junior Newtown Action Alliance. I have the great honor of introducing our next speaker, but first, a little short backstory on our speaker. In December 2013, the Newtown Foundation held our first vigil for all victims of gun violence here in DC. And we received a registration form from a 15-year-old boy from Florida. I was thinking, who is this teenager from Florida who wants to come to our vigil in DC by himself? Newtown Action Alliance is a small, nonprofit, grassroots organization. Our executive board members are 100% volunteers, and we have very little funding with a small vigil budget. How did he even hear about us and our vigil? So I took the request to our board members at the time, should we, and even can we, bring this 15-year-old from Florida? He didn't have direct ties to gun violence, but was closely affected by the tragedy at Sandy Hook School and was highly motivated and compelled to come to our vigil. In the end, of course, our board approved his request because we realized how important the youth is in the GVP movement, and we need to keep them engaged. They are our future voters, and they will make the change that's needed. We took a chance, and boy, did it pay off. This young man continued to work in the GVP movement over the past 10 years. He has volunteered with Newtown Action Alliance at various events, lobbied with us in Congress, demanded gun reform at the Florida State Capitol after the Parkland shooting, became a national organizer director for March for Our Lives, and these are just a few. And now, a decade later, he's come full circle from where it all began at our first vigil for all victims of gun violence, and we couldn't be more proud of him and all of his accomplishments. I'm honored to introduce the first Gen Z member of Congress from the state of Florida, Congressman-elect Maxwell Frost. We're so proud of you.
I love the photo. It's a great shot.
Want me to leave it?
Yeah, we can leave it. Wow. I was not expecting the photo. It was easier to get up in the morning and get going with that haircut than this one. Hello, everybody. I was going to tell the story of how I came here 10 years ago, but it was just told better than I could ever tell it. Well, thank you so much for having me. Again, my name is Maxwell Alejandro Frost, Congressman-elect for Florida's 10th Congressional District in Orlando, Florida. I mean, look, Carol said, I've been here as a student, I've been here as an organizer, I've been here as a musician, and it just means the world, and it's come full circle to be here as a future member of Congress. And I'll be brief, and I'll cut to the chase. Look, I'm part of a generation that has a lot of amazing things about it. The fact that empathy, I believe, is in the heart of Gen Zers, that we understand that my success is your success and your success is my success, and that we're part of this grand mosaic of humanity, and that we want a politics that is fueled by love, because when you love somebody, you want them to live free of gun violence. When you love somebody, you want them to have the ability to live the life that they deserve to live with that true freedom, the freedom to live, the freedom to not be shot. And as I speak with young people and Gen Zers across the country, there's common themes that come up. And I remember one thing that somebody told me that I now talk about. We are the generation of a lot of things, the generation of Twitter, the generation of our phones. But unfortunately, we're also the generation of mass shootings. Where it feels like in high school that I went through more school shooting drills than I did fire drills. This is the reality of young people in America right now. And the thing is that when we wake up and we see another school shooting on the news, or we wake up and we see that a black man's been lynched on broad daylight on our phones, or we see that someone, Breonna Taylor, is shot because of the color of her skin, when we see these things, we know it's not normal. Even though it happens every day and we lose 100 lives a day due to gun violence, we can't lose sight of the fact that behind every number, there's a human. There's a person. There's a Jamie. There's a Trayvon. There's a Brianna. There's a Peter. There's a human. There's a family. There's love. There's life. And that is why our generation and all of us together will end gun violence in this country. I believe it, and I will say it for the rest of my life. And you know, and I'll say this, look, in order to fight for the world that you want, you got to be able to envision it and imagine it. And when I close my eyes, I think about a world where kids can go to school without the fear of being gunned down. When I close my eyes and imagine, I dream of a world where black trans women can live their life without being gunned down because of who they are. When I close my eyes, I think of a world where black people can go to a grocery store and not be hunted down because of the color of their skin. I think of queer people who can go to a club and go somewhere without the fear of being gunned down. That is the future that I imagine. And I know it's the one you imagine too. And here's the thing. Our goal and the work we've done and will continue to do together will ensure that one day we live in a country where we don't have to close our eyes and imagine for that future to be our reality. Because like I said, that's true freedom. It's the freedom to live. And that shouldn't be the privilege of just the few of us that have made it or those of us that have survived. It should be the birthright of every single person in this world, no matter who they are, no matter who they love, no matter the color of their skin, no matter how much money they have in their pocket. And so I'll leave you all with this, because in the words of Angela Davis, I am no longer accepting the things that I cannot change. I'm changing the things I cannot accept. We can't accept this. We can't accept this. And we will change it. Let's get it done. Thank you so much. I'll take the photo.
My name is Nicole, and I'm a board member of Junior Newtown Action Alliance, along with Leah, Olivia, and Jackie. We work in this movement building off of the incredible work of so many before us, and I am so thankful to be here with you all tonight. Throughout the past 10 years, we have grieved together, cried together, held each other up, and achieved victories together. And most importantly, we have elevated each other's voices and stories to fight like hell for change in this country. I am so grateful to stand alongside you all in this unfortunately large network of survivors and victims of gun violence. On December 14th, 2012, I was a second grader at Sandy Hook Elementary School when a gunman equipped with an AR-15 shot into our school and took the lives of 26 beautiful, innocent souls. My class hid together in lockdown next to our cubbies, terrified. We tried quietly reading books and singing songs together, but the amplified sound of gunshots overpowered us. Our community was forever changed on that horrific day. Over the years since the shooting, I have gradually recognized the magnitude of what happened and the impact that it had on our country, as well as the multifaceted issue we face to this day. We live in a culture war between our obsessions with weapons and the lives of others, creating this distinctly American fear of making it home safely as this epidemic plagues us one grocery store, school, movie theater, mall, synagogue, queer bar, street corner, etc. at a time. There are no boundaries when it comes to gun violence in America. It has been nearly a decade, yet we experience so many parallels to this present day. I have learned to not let this tragedy define my life as it once did, but instead I have grown around this continuous, impending issue to work towards change. This is not the world we want to live in, and we have the power and the right to change it. I join forces with you all for a future of my own, my friends and family, the next generation's right to live freely, and in memory of those we have so tragically lost. Their memories will never fade, and our voices will continue to be heard. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jasmine Cáceres, and 6 months ago, my little sister, Jackie Cáceres, was 9 years old when an 18-year-old with an AR-15 walked into her classroom and killed her at Robb Elementary in Uvalde, Texas. Since then, our families have marched, protested, lobbied, and spoke to the people who we believe that can help us make progress. Then, the first piece of gun safety legislation in almost 30 years passed. For that, we are extremely grateful, but we also believe there is so much more to be done. That's why we're fighting for an assault weapons ban, to make it just a little bit harder for someone with an AR-15 to ruin your life the way they ruined ours. This fight takes people like us and people like Caitlin Gonzalez, a survivor of the Robb Elementary shooting, and my sister's best friend. Being in this club is something that nobody wants, but when our leaders fail to act, you can be the next person standing with us up here. Coming together in this way is beautiful, and the relationships that have been formed out of this tragedy are very bittersweet. We shouldn't have to be here, but since we are, I'm thankful that these are the people I'm surrounded with. My sister was a light in the darkness, and she was loved more than she will ever know. Today we're here to remember Jackie, her classmates, her teachers, and to remember every single person whose lives were cut way too short due to senseless acts of gun violence. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Madeline Johnson, and I'm from Oxford, Michigan. Last year, when I was a senior, a mass shooting took place at my high school. I was walking down the hallway with my best friend Madison when the shooting started. We were separated, and she was killed along with 3 other students. I am very lucky to be alive, considering how close I was to the gunman. Throughout my grief, I found activism to be extremely helpful for my healing. I joined a student-led initiative in my hometown called No Future Without Today, and I became the vice president. It's been a year since the tragedy at my school, and during that time, I've been a major advocate for change. I've spoken at several marches and protests, and I've been spending time here in DC meeting with powerful politicians and recruiting them to enact change. I even met our Vice President Kamala Harris twice and explained my story to her. I've spent a year working hard, but there is still a lot to do. In the near future, I plan to advocate for common sense gun legislation, both federally and in Michigan. Above all, I plan to continue sharing my story with the world in order to bring awareness to the impacts of gun violence. I cannot change what happened at my school, but I can and will prevent others from losing a loved one the way I did. Today, we will mourn and honor those we lost. Tomorrow, we will continue the fight. Thank you all for standing with me.
My friends, we are so close. I'm going to ask you a few questions, and then here's the thing. When I marry people, there's a question, will you do everything you can to support these people in what they do and say? And most times the congregation, you're the congregation, would say, I do. And I'm like, I'm sorry? So I'm going to ask you a question, and the answer is yes. So we're going to practice a yes. So you can mumble a yes, and then I want a real yes. So here's a mumbled yes. No, help yourself. Help me out here. All right. So now we're going to go with yes, right from the diaphragm. Yes, right? All right. Please stand if you are able. If you are, wait, I didn't ask you the question. This is like Simon Says with, all right? It's not Mother May I. Please stand if you are an elected official who will do everything in their power to change gun laws in this country. Please stand up. If you're... Please remain standing. Please stand up if your life has been touched by gun violence. My friends who are in government, these are the people you serve. You know that. This is your work. All of you who just stood up, when you go to your legislatures, you tell your stories and you demand that they do the right thing, that they get the votes on the floor. Yes. Thank you, Mary. Please stand up if you cover gun violence as a member of the media again and again and again. Please stand up if you're an activist who wants a different world for our children. Please stand up if you're a person of faith who sees a better world. If there's anyone still standing, you shout why you're still standing. You tell me why you're still standing or still sitting. Change. We want change. My friends, thank you. We are so close to ending, but we have two other pieces of business. One, we get to hear some beautiful music, but first, we want to honor somebody who's made a huge difference in this place. So I'm inviting up Heather and Dave and Carol and Don and any other members of the board of directors of Newtown Action. If the rest of you could remain standing, that would be awesome, but you can sit if you'd like. Have a seat. You might want to stand up again in a moment.
So just want to thank want to thank everyone for coming. Almost 10 years ago, when we were sitting in a living room in Sandy Hook, Connecticut at Poe's house, a handful of us founded Newtown Action Alliance. We really didn't know what it was going to look like. We had no concept that it was going to be here like this. But what we did know is in Newtown we had an outsized voice, a voice that we wanted to lend to communities that didn't have a voice for their loss, for their suffering. And we felt for the longest time that we needed to help those who didn't have a voice have a voice. And Poe, over all these years, has fought endlessly, tirelessly, to be a voice and to give voice to all the communities that need to be heard and that need to have change realized. And 10 years ago, I didn't know who Poe was, and now she's pretty much a sister of mine. So we just wanted to thank Poe for all the hard work. She's a tireless advocate. I mean, those of us that are standing here get to see what she does on a daily basis, and it's pretty superhuman, and it's free. She doesn't get a dime for this. So we just wanted to honor Poe for all her hard work. And
a
room full of Poe Murray superfans.
I'm not worthy. I couldn't do this job without all the amazing board members and so many of our volunteers in this room and all the survivors. This is a job for each one of us, and we need to put all our hearts into it, and I know that we can do more. We've done great things already, and I know that there will be change. And someday, there will be no gun deaths in this nation because our young people will grow up and have children, and we will fight harder than ever before. So thank you. I am not worthy of this, but I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
You know there's a light that glows by the front door. Don't forget the keys under the mat. When childhood stars shine, always stay humble and kind. Go to church 'cause your mama says to. Visit Grandpa every chance that you can. It won't be wasted time. Always stay humble and kind. Hold the door, say please, say thank you. And don't steal, don't cheat, and don't lie. I know you got mountains to climb, but always stay humble and kind. When those dreams you're dreaming come to you, when the work you put in is realized, let yourself feel the pride, but always stay humble and kind. Don't expect a free ride from no one. Don't hold a grudge or a chip, and here is why. Bitterness keeps you from flying. Always stay humble and kind. Know the difference between sleeping with someone and sleeping with someone you love. I love you ain't no pickup line. Always stay humble and kind. Hold the door, say please, say thank you. And don't steal, don't cheat, don't lie. I know you got mountains to climb, but always stay humble and kind. When those dreams you're dreaming come to you, when the work you put in is realized, let yourself feel the pride, but always stay humble and kind. When it's hot, eat a root beer popsicle. Shut off the AC and roll the windows down. Let that summer sun shine. Always stay humble and kind. Don't take for granted the love this life gives you. When you get where you're going, don't forget, turn back around. Help the next one in line. Always stay humble and kind. Thank you.
Every flower in springtime, blooming on the hill, every blue bonnet tells me you are still in this world somehow. In the quiet breeze that moves the clouds, in the morning dew, and in this light I hold, this light I hold for you. Lifted on the mountain and in the streets below, for the lost and brokenhearted.
so this light may grow brighter than the sun,
Bending in the arc that overcomes. Make the world anew. Changing in the light.
this light I hold for you.
And in this world somehow, in the quiet breeze that moves the clouds, let the light come through. Brighter than the sun, this light I hold for you. Brighter than the sun, this light I hold for you.